Hey there guys, so Riot just put out the patches for 11.7 and we just recently went over the patch preview from Mark Uter the other week. So let's see if everything stayed there the same. So here's the quick little preview if someone wants to pause and look at these, but we're going to quickly go on ahead so we can talk about the changes. So first change to Alistair, so they lowered the base damage of his Q by 20 at max rank. It stays roughly the same in the early ranks, but at 20 damage base at max rank. And his E trample empowered basic attack, which is the stun hit of his E, went down by 15 damage at max rank as well. It's kind of sad to see his damage go down since, you know, this is all Alistair does. He kind of just goes in, blows his load, and then that's it. He doesn't do really much else. Hopefully he can survive long enough for another combo. This kind of nerf is definitely for higher elo than pro play, as Alistair's become a very dominant pick. I wonder if this will take him down. 20 damage is a lot, but I'm not exactly sure if that's what he needs to get nerfed. I don't even think he needs to be nerfed, but it is what it is. He is really high. I guess it's kind of hard to nerf him since he's such a basic champion. Hopefully this doesn't kill him. I don't think it will, and if it does, then it probably will at the higher elos. Amumu, Q cost decrease and E cooldown decrease. So the Q cost at max rank was down by 20 mana, and the E cooldown is down by 1 second at rank 1 and at 1 second at max rank as well. So the fact that it's at rank 1 is really nice as well, especially because Amumu's E tantrum gets reduced by 1 second every time he gets hit by something, whether it be a minion hit, a monster, or champion. So that just means he has high DPS both in the jungle and in fights as well, since he's going to be up more often, and less mana per banish charge as well is pretty nice. These changes are pretty nice. Faster clear speed is always a big change. I know it's only 1 second on a Z, but anything matters, especially because all the top tier junglers are clear fast. I mean, the motto is clear fast and gank ass, man, because that's how you're going to be a top tier jungler. So this is definitely a welcome change. Probably not enough to shoot him to top tiers or the leagues or anything, but definitely a welcome one that will feel a little nice. It won't bump his win rate that high, though. It'll probably be a 1 to 2% shift. Ashe's R cooldown was decreased at later ranks, so max rank is down to 60 seconds. Kind of interesting. At rank 2, it went from 90 to 80, so about 10 seconds. You might not always get to rank level 16 to get rank 3 ult. Some games close out really early, so I don't know if you'll feel the power of this buff, really. 10 seconds is kind of... It's nice, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not anything crazy. And ADCs aren't really getting a lot of haste in their builds anyway, so I'm not sure if this is the buff that's really needed here. It was just a really nice small buff. Probably didn't want to put it in a too high top tier, so pretty interesting change. Braum's E cooldown went down from 18 to 16 on rank 1, and from 10 max to 8 seconds max. I think this is a pretty big change here because Braum usually does max E second after his Q max, and having a 2 seconds base at rank 1 and at max is really huge here, since most of the tank items like Locket and Zeke's and sometimes going on Ionian boots are definitely viable options, have a lot of haste in them. It's very easy for support to get up anywhere from 40 to 60 haste, which is quite a lot. So this is pretty big here, as I mean, getting your E up not only 2 seconds, but with extra haste and whatnot, you're essentially getting it like 3 seconds faster. I mean, you block more damage and probably get another second E to get high value up. So it's pretty nice. And then the maximum knockup duration went from 1.25, 1.5 to 1.5 at 2 seconds, which is really nice too. Ever since they changed Braum's ult to really only hit one target based on the distance, it hasn't been the game-changing ult we all know it as. So a nice little buff here as well is pretty good. This will definitely help Braum out quite a bit. Hecarim's E bonus movement speed is decreased at later ranks. So we saw this in the patch review, and this was a pretty big change, so I'm glad to see that it's still here. So they reduced the bonus movement speed by his E up from 25 to 75% to 25 to 65%. The reason why they're doing this is because tank Hecarim is too strong. So they're okay if Hecarim goes damage because he's kind of manageable. If he's going damage, he's a little bit squishier. But when full tank Hecarim is almost impossible to kill and chase and run away from. And with all the extra moves he's getting from Chem Tank, his E and Phase Wish, he's gaining too much damage just going straight tank. So they were really targeting with this one. And although it doesn't seem like a lot of damage is losing because it's only 10%, I hope they kept the other nerfs and the Triforce and items, or not Triforce, Turbo Chem Tank, then you'll see what I'm talking about. It all adds up. Ivan's E base damage is decreased at later ranks, which is pretty nice as well. The base damage went down from 170 to 150 max, and I believe, yeah, it says it here. It was because Daisy got a bug fix on the last patch, 11.6, which really boosted the damage. The bug fix was that sometimes Daisy's autos were not doing damage. I don't know how that even happened, but it did. So now that they bug fixed it, I guess he became too strong, so they're turning down his damage just a tad bit. And 20 off E trigger speed isn't the worst thing in the world. Yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, Daisy's now actually properly doing damage, whereas Daisy can definitely do about more than 20 in auto, so it's understandable. Kai'Sa's art cooldown was increased at early ranks from 110 to 130 base. That's really, really nice, because like I said before, ADCs don't really build haste, so it's pretty nice, especially at rank 1. This gives you definitely a lot more windows of opportunity to try to kill Kai'Sa while her ult is down, and being 130 seconds is quite long. Most support ultimates I know of are not even in the 100 range, so this is pretty damn good for supports to take the time and abuse it after using their ult to try to do the re-engage play. This is a good change, especially because Kai'Sa's top tier, so this is a good way about nerfing her. Cringe's Q base damage or bonus damage ratio, not base damage, it was increased and the E cooldown was decreased. So the bonus damage ratio went from 65% AD to 75% AD, and the E cooldown went from 18 to 12, from 14 to 10. So 2 seconds, both at rank 1 and max rank. Good changes when they do the first rank and the last rank on abilities that aren't really getting max first. And as for the 10% bonus damage ratio on her Q, which is also really nice. I have been seeing Kindred rise a little bit more with her Essence Weaver build, which does give her some high amounts of AD very early, so this change is definitely going to help her go up in priority pick. They buff Lissandra's Q base damage by 10 at rank 1 and max. This is a nice one as well, but 10 is very negligible. You probably won't even feel it. Not only that, there's just like she doesn't really have much to the game anymore since everyone can buy Everfrost. She doesn't bring that much utility to the game that isn't like not needed. The only thing she's really good for is her ultimate, which other champions can do similar jobs with Malzahar ult or Yana ult and can do much more damage as well. It's kind of sad to see Lissandra be in such a bad spot. 10 damage isn't really gonna like make or break it and really push her anywhere. Nice to see that these Mordekaiser changes stayed, as these were pretty big changes. So the Q isolated damage was increased from 30 to 50% to 40 to 60%, so 10% at every rank. So if you didn't know, when Mordekaiser Qs someone, and if they're by themselves, like no minions or no other enemy champions, it increases the damage. So increasing damage by 10% at all ranks is pretty damn big and could definitely help him in some matchups that are tough, or give him the extra damage he needs to kill. This is definitely a big buff, and we'll probably see Mordekaiser jump up a tier or about 3% win rate or more. Rel's E stun duration was decreased from 0.75 to 0.5 seconds. Very negligible, very small, definitely for the CC chains and the higher levels of play, since Rel is definitely a top tier up there. But this won't see much change in terms of win rate or priority pick in solo queue. Teemo's passive bonus attack speed duration was increased, and his E on hit base damage was also increased. So when he comes out of his invis from his passive, he used to get 3 seconds of bonus attack speed. Now it's 5 seconds. And his toxic shot got about 1 to 5 max damage depending on what rank you're looking at, which is also really nice. But this definitely doesn't make Teemo like that much higher of a pick. Teemo's kind of a niche pick. If you like Teemo, you like Teemo. You already make him work. It's probably just a welcome buff for those Teemo mains out there. I'm looking at Manko specifically. That guy's crazy on Teemo. If you guys want to learn how to play Teemo, you should definitely check out Manko. He's like a Masters Challenger Teemo. Plays on Teemo jungle and support top. He's really nuts at making Teemo work. Thresh's W base shield decreased at later ranks, so Dark Passage, which is Lantern, gives a base shield of 60 to 220, and now it's going to be 60 to 180. Really interesting change, because you do not max Lantern until maybe max rank, sometimes second if you really need to get the pick off. But lowering the base shield's kind of strange. I guess at pro levels of play, he was just shielding too much at the max rank. I didn't think it was that much of a problem, I guess. I also just don't see them talk about it in LCS or whatnot, so kind of interesting. Kind of weird. Like I guess it says it here, like players have been finding the most success around builds that maxes Lantern second. I honestly haven't seen these at all anywhere, whether it be LCS, Twitter, streamers, players, anywhere. I would love to see that, but I guess it's too late since the patch is out now. I should have looked more into this before when I saw it in the patch preview. And I wish this got changed from the patch preview. So in the patch preview we saw this too, and Tristana is losing a whopping 2 base attack damage. Definitely one of the most oppressive ADCs in top level plays and even lower elos too. She's definitely stomping on people right now. And to see a 2 AD nerf is kind of sad because it definitely won't stop her and it definitely won't take down her priority at all. I'm sure they'll do another change or another nerf on her soon. There's no way they don't. This is definitely not going to be enough. Udia's base attack damage was decreased. It was decreased by a bit, about 3 right here as well. Or no, 2 as well. I guess this is just for clear speed and early clearing and dueling. Once again, I don't think it's going to take them down in priority. When you give someone 2-3 AD, it never makes or breaks the champ. It's always a weird change to see it, to be honest with you. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it does take down Udio 4% and he's not an S tier jungler anymore. That'd be cool, I guess. But I really don't think so. But I'd love to see myself prove wrong. Varus's base attack damage growth was also increased by from 3 to 3.4, so 0.4 AD per level. That's a nice change, and it probably helps out when his Q really has a high AD scaling. You know, they keep buffing Varus every patch. You know, I gotta buff the last 2 batches. And although they're small buffs like this, they're probably all gonna add up and make him a nice ADC to start picking. Especially once oppressive picks come down and more, I guess, traditional ADCs like Caitlyn and stuff who are on the rise become the meta. And you get less of these Tristanas, Varus will probably flourish in that. They're also upping Yasuo's base attack damage growth since he got really hurt by the shield bow changes, so he's getting 0.8 AD per level. What's in a really nice buff. Don't think it's going to move him by 2% or not, win rate. So Yorick had a lot of changes in the patch preview, and we were definitely talking about how insane Yorick can be in all levels of play when the changes went through, and it looks like they pulled back some while also keeping some. So the first one they did is marked enemy champions and large monsters now continuously awaken nearby graves up to a maximum of 4. So if you already have 4 minions out, and let's say there's about, I don't know, 2 more graves out around, when you throw your E on the enemy now, it'll awaken graves, and it'll keep awakening graves around him if you create new ones to just start jumping on them, which is a nice effect. It's not that crazy unless you don't have 4 minions out, or if you're in the middle of a fight and a random grave comes up from a minion dying. It's pretty nice there too. The bigger change is the Mistwalkers now deal 200% damage when they leaped on the marked enemies, giving them a much bigger burst and total damage output as well. And then if you're targeting outside of the range of his E, it will now throw instead of trying to get into the range of throw. That's also a nice change since most spells work like that. So they got rid of the change where the tower would not target the minions first, and I assume they got rid of that change because it was quite an insane change. Like when I read that in the patch review, I thought that was crazy. The fact that towers were going to target the Mistwalkers last, when the Mistwalkers have insane damage output, insane attack speed, was going to make diving and tower taking way too easy. But even with these current buffs, I still think Yorick will probably be a big winner this patch, and definitely see him at least in the lower levels and mid levels of play. And maybe not so much the pro and high levels of play, but definitely enough, because there's also an item change in here that definitely should help him out. So they nerfed Essence Reaver by 100 gold and then lowered it by 10 AD. They just don't want it to be super insane, and as the first buy item, it still is going to be insane. That Sheen effect is really good, but lowering the AD a little bit would make the Sheen effect a little bit worse. Nerfing Everfrost, I mean, this was kind of expected. Everfrost became a nuts item once they made the build path actually buildable, because even before the build path was, when it was trash, it was still a strong item. It was just the fact of getting it was really hard. But they're lowering the base damage and the AP ratio. So the AP ratio is going down by 5%, and the base damage is going down by 25%, and they're upping the cooldown 30 seconds from 20 seconds. These are definitely big nerfs, especially because the cooldown does not go down with haste. This is a static cooldown. So this is going to be a really, really big change. And I wonder if people will go away from Everfrost now that Ludens has also been buffed, and Ludens is looking really good this time. So when they buffed Lord Doms at 35% armor pen, it was really good, and it made it clear that Lord Doms was the true winner over Shrelda's Grudge in almost every case, unless you were a super ability based champion like Kayn. So they're nerfing the Lord Doms by upping it by 100 gold and taking out 5 AD. One of buffing Shrelda's Grudge by decreasing the gold cost by 200, so the two are closer in line together and are viable options for either or, depending if you want the slow or you don't want the slow. So here's the big change that I think was really nuts for Yorick. So Triforce is getting buffed by giving it 5 more attack damage, 5 more attack speed, and another fold with is 3 fold strike now stacks on the towers. So if you don't know, every time you attack, you get a stack which gives you more attack speed, and now it stacks on towers. So people who have Triforce can not only stack on towers to perform a dive better, but can also stack on the towers to get more attack speed and to push the tower down faster. They also changed and make the pass from 10% attack speed per item to 3 attack damage, 3 movement speed, and 3 haste per item. So overall, like, you get some small stat buffs which are pretty nice, but nothing crazy substantial. But it's the fact that they can now stack on towers, which opens up a lot of versatility for diving and tower taking. But the problem is, it's still kind of a weird item to build on most people that want it. The only people that really want Triforce badly are Jax, and in some cases he still takes Gore Drinker and Yorick. So once again, for Yorick, this is really nice since he got all those changes to be more oppressive in lane, and he likes building Triforce, so now he can push down those towers much faster and do his job better. Turbo Chem Tank got nerfed by the supercharged bonus boosting, going from 75% to 60%. This is once again for Hecarim, and just in general, Turbo Chem Tank is a really aggressive, overpowering item. So they decided to put the slow that they took away into the slow, or the speed to the slow. So now the slow is from 40 to 50%. And this is honestly a bigger nerf to, once again, Hecarim. So this means Hecarim lost 10% of his total max speed from his E and 10% from his Chem Tank as well. So he's getting a lot less damage in these two items, which is really nice. And hopefully it's enough to take him down, because Tank Hecarim is very, 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 very annoying to face in lane. And then with that, we got just smaller quality of life changes. And this patch should see the introduction of Space Groove, which will be turned on at a later date. Not exactly sure when. That about does it for the patch 11.7 rundown. Hopefully you guys like these changes. Overall, it's a decent patch. Actually, I don't want to say decent patches. There's definitely been better patches than this, and decent patches have a decent amount of changes. A lot of these changes you won't feel, or even know they got changed, to be honest. I just hope that it really does move champions. I mean, I guess the biggest changes here are Hecarim with its Turbo Chem Tank speed nerf, Braum if that matters, but I don't think it will end up mattering that much. Mordekaiser Q, and Yorick for sure. Other than that, a lot of these changes are negligible and will definitely fly under the radar. But I hope to see I was wrong and that some of these changes are bigger. But personally, I think they could have done a lot more, especially to Tristana and maybe Udi if they wanted to, but definitely Tristana here. She's way too over oppressive in every elo, I feel like. But that's just my opinion. Hopefully you guys agree with me or don't agree with me. Let me know down in the comments below what you don't agree with and what you think they should have changed, or if you like this patch. And if you could like the video, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're still here, comment orders. I want to see who always comes to the end. You're always shy, whoever you are, but I appreciate you all the less. And consider subscribing, because I do content like this all the time, whether it be news or just quick analytical reviews and my own opinions. And with that, guys, enjoy the rest of the day. Peace.